All right, so in this chapter, our first lesson we talked about was place value and patterns. So there were two phrases that we looked at that help us to know if we need to increase in place values or decrease in place values. The first phrase we looked at was 10 times as much as. When we see this phrase, that's telling us that we are trying to figure out a bigger number, that we need to add a place value to the original number that we started with. If I hear the phrase 1/10 of, that means that I need to make it a smaller number, and I need to take away a place value from the number that I'm starting with. So I have 4 examples here that I kind of want to walk through and just review how we do this. So this is my number column, the original numbers I'm starting with. Here's my 10 times as much as column and my 1/10 of column. Now, if I want to figure out what 10 times as much as is for the number 10, I want to know what number is 10 times as much as 10. I'm going to look at the number 10 and think in my head 10 times as much as. Am I looking for a bigger number or a smaller number? I'm looking for a bigger number, so that's telling me I need to add 1 place value. So to do this, I start with the original number 10 and I add 1 place value to that number. Now, if I'm saying what number is 1/10 of the number 10, I'm going to totally ignore this middle column. 1/10 of is telling me that I'm looking for a smaller number, so I need to take away a place value from the original number. So I go back to the original number, which is 10, and I take away a place value. So I'm going to take away that 0 and just leave it with 1. Now let's look at the number 70. If I'm asking what number is 10 times as much as 70, I know that I'm looking for a bigger number, so I need to add 1 place value. So I'm going to write the original 70, and I'm going to add a place value. So I'm going to add a 0 to that to increase this number's place values. Now, if I ask what is 1/10 of the number 70, I'm thinking in my head that I want a smaller number. So I'm going to take away a place value. So I'm going to totally forget about this middle column, and I'm going to go back to the 70. And I'm going to say if I'm taking away a place value, that means that I'm going to be left with the number 7. Now, for the number 9,000, what number is 10 times as much as 9,000? Well, that means I'm looking for a bigger number, so I need to add a place value. So I start with the regular number 9,000, and then I add 1 place value onto that. So that becomes 90,000. Now, if I say what number is 1/10 of 9,000, I'm going to forget about this middle column, and I'm going to remember that 1/10 of means that I'm looking for a smaller number. So I'm taking away a place value. So if I look at 9,000 and I'm taking away a place value, that would give me 900. Let's look at this example, 500. If I'm asking what number is 10 times as much as 500, when I'm looking at 10 times as much as, that means I'm looking for a bigger number, and I need to add a place value onto the original number. So I'm going to write my original number 500, and I'm going to add a place value on, so now it becomes 5,000. Lastly, let's look at 1/10 of 500. 1/10 of is a phrase that's telling me that I need to take away a place value and make it a smaller number. So again, I'm going to forget about this middle column. I'm going to backtrack to the original number 500, and if I take away a place value, if I take away 1 place value, that gives me the number 50. I might be asked this question. 500 is 10 times as much as what? So when I see a question like this question now is making me think backwards. I want to know what number I started with and then did the problem to get 500. So I know that when a sentence says 10 times as much as, I was looking for a bigger number. I was adding a place value onto the original number. So what I'm going to do for this problem is I'm going to write the number 500, like the phrase says, 10 times as much as, and I'm trying to think now, what number did I start with? What was the original number that came from? So when I added 500, when I added a place value to the original number to make it 500, now I need to do the opposite to go back to the original number. So the opposite of adding a place value would be taking away a place value. So if I took away a place value, my original number was 50. Now, on the reverse side, I could be asked a problem like this. 900 is 1/10 of what number? So again, I'm thinking backwards. I know that my starting number is going to be 900. So I'm going to put that in the 1/10 of column because this is the phrase that it's telling me. So I want to know what number I started with. I want to know what was the original number. Where did the 900 come from? So when I hear the phrase 1/10 of, that is telling me that I need to take away a place value from the original number. That would be in this column. Well, the opposite of taking away a place value is adding a place value. So I'm going to add a place value onto the 900 to make it 9,000. And 9,000 is the number that 900 came from.